All right. Well, good evening and welcome to the November 9th HWMA meeting. I'll go ahead and start by taking roll. Meredith Matthews, I'm here. Director Jones?
Here.
Director Castellano?
Here.
Director Katie?
Here.
Director Madrone is absent. Director Wilson?
Here.
All right. We do have a quorum. All right, the first thing is our consent calendar. All matters listed under the consent calendar are to be considered to be routine by the HWMA board. And so does anybody want to pull anything off the consent calendar?
Yes, I would like to pull the minutes.
Okay. Does anybody else want to pull anything?
I did have a question about item B, just for a point of clarity. So I guess so. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we are pulling item A and item B. Does anybody want to make a motion for item C?
I so move.
I second.
All right. Director Jones? You're up.
Okay, so we had a motion and a second to pull items A and B, and then we had
All right, all in favor of item C?
I.
All right, sorry. Thanks.
No problem. Okay, so I just spoke to council about this issue, and at the end of the closed session of October 12th, as we came out of closed session, we should add the wording, "nothing to report," coming out of closed session.
Thank you, Director Jones. Staff will take note and we'll add that to the minutes. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, somebody want to make a motion for item B?
Or A. Was it?
A?
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, Director Castellano?
Yes, thank you, and thanks for your patience in pulling this item. This is the adopting the resolution 2023-04 to authorize investment in the local agency investment fund. And reading the background, it was unclear to me whether we potentially had money in this fund or not. Or could you just explain more about that? Sorry.
Yeah, so at this time, it is also currently unclear to staff if any authority funds are within the LAF fund. So because of the association, the state controller's office oversees this fund, they will not allow access even to know what is in the current fund for any current staff. So the original two staff members were Jim Test, the executive director, and Susan Rigg, the controller. Neither of them are no longer with the authority, but they're also no longer around or able to sign anything. And the proper paperwork at the time was not filled out to keep the chain of command for the executive director or the now director of finance to have access. So in order for current staff to access the fund and determine if there is any funding in it, we need this resolution to give us access.
Thank you.
That was a good explanation. Thank you. We have a motion?
I would move we approve item B.
I second.
All right.
So, and I know we don't have any public here. Do we need to open any of these for public comment? Sorry, it just struck me.
Do we have any public comment on item B?
Seeing none.
All right.
Okay.
Seeing none,
All
Chair.
right, thank you. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion passes. All right, we are on to oral and written communication. Do we have any members of the public that wish to speak? I don't see any hands raised, so we'll go ahead and move on to item 4, receive July 2023 authority financials. Can we please get a staff report?
Staff recommends the board review and approve the draft July 2023 financial reports. Additionally, staff is seeking input and direction from the board on the type, format and general financial information they would like to see outlined in the monthly financial reports so that they can better judge the health of the authority and provide direction. Staff anticipates providing the draft August, September, and October financials at the board's January meeting, incorporating any direction given tonight.
All right, I'll open it up for comments.
Thank you for the financials. I'm just wondering about also have, I know we have specific projects. For some reason, the project that came to mind was like we do a program in like an educational program in schools, things like that. And I was just curious if the financials could review or to kind of have an overview of funding available for key either programs or projects. Sometimes that helps me in kind of thinking about the course of the year and what's been going on.
Chair Castellano, would you like a comparison of the dollars spent to date compared to the annual budget, or would you like it tracked over like a 12-month span?
I think just dollars spent to date is fine, unless folks have another idea about it.
And Chair Castellano, Director Castellano, I'm assuming that you're speaking of the education and outreach that we do to jurisdictional schools on behalf of.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's not even necessarily, I mean, that was the one that popped into mind for whatever reason. But, I think if there are other, kind of like just major programs that we do in the community, it'd be great to kind of just see, what has been spent, what's remaining. Thank you.
If you'd like, we can make it a little bit easier and we can actually call that out in the staff report itself. That way you don't have to comb through all the financials to find that, if that would be amicable.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah, that sounds great. All right, well, we're looking through this and trying to formulate some more questions. I'll open up to the public. Does anybody have any comments on this?
Seeing none, Chair.
All right. So how long have you been the finance director for now?
Since August 1st.
So you feeling pretty comfortable now?
I'm getting more comfortable.
Caught up? Mm-hmm. All right. Is there anything that you need from us, I guess?
Not at this time, but I may.
Okay.
I may have some questions. I'm really interested in the direction that you guys would like for the reports.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the whole time that I have been on this board, it's been kind of a nebulous time. And now that we're playing catch up, I almost don't even know what I need to see. Has anybody that's been on here like longer than me remember the kind of things that we used to get? And
Oh, boy.
So the attachments that are party to the staff report are generally what was provided to the board on a monthly basis when authority financials were provided monthly. So that's a general basis starting point of this is what historically we have provided to the directors. And if that's acceptable, we'll continue to move forward and provide those. But we thought that this would be a very good opportunity to give you guys the option to call out certain things that you wanted for staff to focus on.
yeah, I feel very comfortable with what we have, and I appreciate that we're kind of back on a track to get these monthly and up to date. I'm really looking forward to mid-year budget review and to see the next audit. And I really thank you so much for getting us back in line. I'm sure Director Keller-Heckman is as well. So it's good to have you. Anybody else? All right. Does anybody want to make a motion? If we need one. Do we even
I
need-
would approve I believe there's a motion to approve the July 2023 financial reports. And so I would make a motion to do that.
I'll second.
All right. We have a motion by Director Jones and a second by Director Castellano. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Then let's move on to considering long-term organics processing. Can we get a staff report?
Thank you, Chair. So this board has heard me speak at length about the organics timeline, and while most of our attention has been given to the short-term processing to ensure compliance for our jurisdictions, the long-term planning aspect will be critical to the overall health and success of the program. The initial pathway had HWMA developing an RFP for long-term in-county processing. While this remains a viable option, several member agency staff members have inquired about the feasibility of HWMA owning and operating an in-county organics facility. So tonight's item is simply to gauge the board's willingness to evaluate that pathway. And while I can provide a brief overview of the pathway, staff would return to the board with a proposed timeline and a multi-step process to better outline that potential.
When I saw this on the agenda, I was very excited at the idea of thinking long-term and locally. So, again, not having any details. I'm just curious, I imagine this plan will take a significant amount of staff time and thought and research. Do you feel like it's going to be kind of a burden on staff, or how are you feeling about it?
So while staff has some experience, the most logical step first is to develop an RFP to go out for a consultant services to help us facilitate not only capacity planning, but helping us analyze potential locations. That's also going to be a very big issue with this. Staff has worked for the last 2 to 3 years with property owners looking for property for either the recycling center, possible locations that we can hold, amendments that the jurisdictions have to procure. Tony, Director Heacock, has done a significant amount of work looking at properties, and now we will need someone who has the expertise in permitting those type of properties for an organics processing facility. Yeah.
The consultant also be able to look for like grant funding? Is that something that would be in their purview to see if there's money available?
It's definitely something that we can put on their purview, but grant funding right now for 1383 activities is readily available for a ton of different projects, depending on where you are in the process. So one option is requesting the jurisdictions use a portion of their local SB 1383 assistance grant to potentially help fund the consultant for this project. So that is already been discussed by HWMA staff and jurisdictions, and we just wanted to test the waters and see what the HWMA board thought about moving forward with that.
Yeah, I'm really excited about that. I mean, that's kind of what we've been asking for, just keeping it near and not having to send it out. So yeah, I'm excited.
Will this involve the process of possibly turning that into the slurry avenue that we discussed? Taking organics and turning it into a slurry and sending it out to the farmlands, and
there's a
part of this process.
Yeah, there's a potential that, and this will be quite a ways down the road, determining exactly how we're going to process in-county material. The first thing we need to do is figure out the exact capacity we expect for this facility, and then find a suitable location. The location may in fact dictate what type of processing that we do. Okay. So it's a little premature, but there are options for us to look at, whether that's windrow, the Gore system, aerobic or anaerobic digester, composter, things like that. So that is yet to be determined in this process. That will be a step down the road.
That's what this process is about.
Yep.
I'll open it up to the public, see if we have any comments. All right, seeing none, I'll take it back to the board for any other questions.
I was going to make a motion that we direct staff to return to the board with a timeline and process for the long-term in-county organics processing evaluation.
I second that.
All right, we have a motion by Director Jones and a second by Director Katie. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, aye. The motion passes unanimously. And let's move on to item 6, authorize the executive director to submit letter to the Trinidad City Council. Staff report, please.
Thank you, Chair. So again, HWMA board and staff have discussed at length the potential expansion of HWMA membership to non-HWMA members. The city of Trinidad has been an active member in the planning process for 1383 and has additionally committed funds for several regional projects so far in that SB 1383 compliance pathway. HWMA and Trinidad have also worked together on a myriad of different projects and services over the years. It stretches to e-waste, hazardous waste events, hazardous waste collections for their properties. We have worked very well together in the past. HWMA and Trinidad staff have spoken several times regarding the potential membership to HWMA, and I believe we are at the point where the process should be formalized. So I would recommend that the board authorize the executive director to sign and submit the attached letter to the city of Trinidad requesting that they reaffirm their desire to join the HWMA board.
Well, that's exciting. Any comments? Questions?
Well, so what I'm assuming then is there's 6 of us now on the board. There will be a 7th member, the representative from the city of Trinidad.
So if the city of Trinidad reaffirms their prior resolution to join the HWMA board and this board takes action to approve their membership, yes, that is correct. We would add an additional seat that would belong to the city of Trinidad.
So this letter does not indicate that yet. We're not at that point. So this letter is reaffirming that that's their desire.
That is correct.
And so then this will come back to the board for a vote on whether they'll have a seat on the board.
Yep, that is correct.
Well, I like the idea because I've always been concerned about a 6-member board. There's a possibility for a 3-3 tie. That doesn't happen very often, but there's a potential for that. So I like an odd-numbered board.
Yeah, I'm really in favor of this, and I guess partially because of 1383 that we get Trinidad to be a member, and then we still have Fortuna yet to deal with, don't we? But I like to move ahead with Trinidad.
I mean, and thanks for bringing this forward. Does it seem like, do you have a sense of when the Trinidad City Council might put this on their agenda?
I don't. I would like to believe before January. But I've not had a confirmed date. But again, the city of Trinidad has attempted to join the authority 2 different times in the past 10 years. So they don't have to physically pass a resolution like the city of Fortuna would have to. They just have to reaffirm that resolve. So that makes the process a little bit easier on their end as well. So I'm hopeful January we should hear back sometime.
Cool.
What has stopped them in the past from being a member?
So in 2008, they did not have complete flow control of their solid waste material. And at the time, the language in the JPA required prior to membership, you give the authority flow control of your material. Our most recent change to the JPA has relaxed that requirement, but additionally, City of Trinidad has also regained their flow control on their solid waste. The second, in 2014, they tried to join. We had the Cummings Road burn ash site issue about a month after their request to join. And at that time, they chose not to join due to the potential financial instability of the authority and the unknown outcome of the mitigation for that burn ash site.
Okay. Do you have anything else? Do you have another question? No? All right, I'll open it up to public. See if anybody has any comments. No? Okay. I will bring it back to the board for any other questions, comments, concerns.
I'll move to authorize the executive director to sign and submit the attached draft letter to the Trinidad City Council to affirm their previous desire to join HWMA.
I'll second that.
All right. We have a motion by Director Castellano and a second from Director Wilson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Wow. I thought this was going to be a long meeting tonight for some reason. All right. Well, we're at number 7, standing board reports. Anybody have anything? I think that Arcade is having a zero waste day on November 9th. So, all right.
Blue Lake is having a waste day on November 18th. It's going to be in Corbell, actually, and it's a large item waste day where they're allowing you to bring furniture, mattresses, that kind of thing, tires, but not with the metal part. And it's going on, as I said, in Corbell. I think there's a limit of 8 to 10 tires or something like that, and no electronics.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you. All right. Do we have an executive director's report?
Thank you, Chair. Just one item. In relation to the city of Fortuna, HWMA staff and Fortuna staff have had several conversations, and you should expect a similar staff report and similar letter at the January meeting. So we expect to bring something similar to that with the same type of request for the City Council of Fortuna.
We're going to need a bigger room, another chair. That's excellent. All right. Then I am going to adjourn open session and we're going to go into closed session.
Yeah, per Government Code 54957, public employment evaluation.
Do we need to take public comment on that before we?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any public comment? All right. Seeing none, yes. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54957, we will go into closed session.